As I said in my opening remarks, and I'm not going to repeat, the Athens Institute was established in Canada, both as an idea and as a legal entity. As an idea in Ottawa in 1985, almost, when I was about 10 years old, when I was doing my count of the difference, okay? Some discount. That's the good life. No harm. And we had that idea of establishing an institute in Athens, make Athens great again, as I said. And the idea was that people can write off expenses because they have the money from their teams, and so they can come. But we said we can do a good job. In 1990, we were established in Toronto as a legal entity. We were 400 people, all promised that we will come the first conference. Of course, I don't trust what academics say. Only 20 came to the first one. And I can give you all the excuses. I can write a book about how innovative are academics when they want to ask for an excuse. I mean, 1,000. Now, to honor that, because that's very important for me, and of course I'm a graduate from 2 Canadian universities, and I taught there, we decided this year to promote Canada, because nobody knows. Fortunately, though, once we had that in mind the end of the previous year, Canada somehow received a lot of attention in the mass media. So this is the causality might run this way. We showed an interest, so Trump said, if Gregory shows an interest for Canada, let me show an interest. But it's an interpretation, but the sequence of events indicates. So I asked 4 professors from Canada to say something about, I mean, that's a very good idea, to say something about the university aspects, whatever they want to say. It's not, we're not restricted. And some asked us about Canadian universities. We had a very good argument about, I'm not sure, but I heard that the government of Ontario gave to the University of Toronto $500 million to attract, detrain the brain, if I may use this term, because a lot of Canadians, they move, once they became established, they move to the United States because there are more money. Now they want to reverse that. I don't know if it's true, and that's new evidence because it was before we decided to promote Canada. We're going to have the help maybe from the embassy. The Canadian embassy, as all embassies, as all bureaucrats, they're not the best. They promised to and maybe we will find people from alumni. We're going to collaborate. Once we have this, so we show that we have actions. And that's very impressive to show a program May, June, July with Canadians present. Then we can go and say, you know, help us, not with money, we don't want money. We want to find out all the people that live in Greece and they are Canadian graduates. I'm not going to say more. I'll ask our first speaker, Svetlana Mikhaylichenko. Did I say it correctly?
Yes, perfect.
I know that because it's very similar to the
That's
Greek.
Ukrainian last name,
yeah,
so you have to drink like a glass of wine and then you will be fine drinking.
So she will talk and impress us for 15 minutes. Okay, and then we'll go for the next one, and be prepared to make comments, questions for this 15 minutes. Where's my camera here? We had that in the elementary school. No, did anybody have this?
Yes. I used to have it for my lectures, so I forgot about it. Now I will do it again. Does it work very well? So, since Gregory, thank you for the introduction about Canadian universities and U of T. I will repeat part of my presentation that I did this morning in my section because just few of you have been there. So this is basically the beginning will be the same. So this is U of T, which is a huge thing. U of T is city inside the city. So what is here, it's our downtown campus, and like half of the downtown is U of T. That's how it works for us. This is my campus, east side of the city, and this is west side. So we call it Scarborough campus, my Scarborough, and this is Mississauga campus. Altogether, our total students enrollment is 100,000 students. There are 3 campuses. Now think how many faculty, staff, and helpers. As I said, this is city within the city. It's a huge thing. The 70,000 out of 100 are domestic students, and quite a few of them later on moving to our graduate programs, because we have a lot of graduate programs at U of T. We also have University Health Network, so it's a huge medical school within U of T as well. The medical school is very different in North America, so people from Europe probably don't understand how it works, but that's nevertheless, I will not go about it. So many of the students do study at the central campus. Our campus on the east side, as I said, smaller. We only teaching 14,000 out of 100. But it still looks like medium-sized university, pretty big. All 3 campuses are very much connected. Within my discipline, chemistry, we talk to each other, we know who is teaching what and what's going on, basically. So that is typical for every department. So this is my department. The department is very big, and it's we occupying the whole building. And it's bigger part of it, and we have the place in the other building. So it's relatively big department. We 4 disciplines: chemistry, environmental sciences, environmental studies, and physics and astrophysics. The chair of our department, as of now, is a Greek person, and that was my inspiration to go to Greece. I wanted to see where my chairs came from, because luckily he's not here, so I can be as biased as I want. This is the best person I ever know. And to all of I discussed today, all of the developments they've done for so many years, he's been our chair for 10 years, so he's stepping out. The whole department is crying. Because I don't know if they will be able to replace with a better chair. But nevertheless, so be big. And of course, since I'm teaching chemistry, I decided to highlight chemistry. So this is our big research hub, the instrumental lab. And some people think if you don't teach chemistry, you're probably thinking not a big deal. But every instrument in this lab, it's about 100K value. So if you will see how many of them, and the main one, which is 2 million, is not even shown in the picture. So we're very well equipped, and we can do cool stuff. So this is the whole bunch of stuff about the department. We have 45 faculty for disciplines. And we have 30 of them are research stream and teaching stream. This is a recent thing in Canadian universities. Let's say we've been introduced about 15 years ago. Before that, you can be a professor, and that's typical European thing. So you have degree, PhD, and then based on publications, you will and research you've done, you will be promoted to full professor. And people who've been teaching more, they do lectures. But very recently, U of T and Canada in general introduced the teaching stream professor, so I am professor teaching stream. Obviously, I'm PhD in chemistry, but for teaching stream, we introduce also 2 levels, I said 3. Assistant, associate, and now full prof. So you can be promoted to be a full professor based on your publication, research you do, and other things, usually admin duties as well. So moving all of us toward the U of T 230 goal, it's incorporate active learning, bring the students and staff together, teaching people together, and foster the community of active learning. This is in other words, what the main goal of the U of T right now. So as you can see, our department is here. So that's the total enrollment at our campus. So we are not hugest piece of our pie. The hugest one is, of course, management, because everyone wants to be a manager. But for sciences, it's still, we are like good-sized department. And here it's our programs. So you can see chemistry is 1/4-ish of the pie, and this is the environmental sciences. And I'll show some statistics. Conveniently, they have the departmental review, so like, it's not me who created it, it's been done for that purpose, but I can show you. So you can see the trend. Yellow is chemistry, and as you can see, chemistry is a bit declining. While the green is environmental sciences are moving up. And it's no wonder, everyone is talking about climate change, what's going on in the planet, and yes, more and more people are leaning towards this because it's also a government job, almost 100%. So interesting enough, physics is also up. And that's also understandable. Now, physics never been popular, right? Like everyone who been study sciences, you know, like usually if you study physics, people look at you, why? AI, artificial intelligence. This is what is bringing the students to study physics right now.
And you got the Nobel Prize this year. In physics.
Yeah, in physics.
The University of Toronto got it.
Yeah.
Because of AI.
Because of the AI. So, and yes, U of T, right now it's hands-on on AI. They are introducing it everywhere, and they are watching what's going on. Like if I have time, I can share what do we do. So this is a trend, and of course, like I'm leaning towards the chemistry. It's basically very comparable with the other disciplines. So whatever you will see for chemistry, pretty much the same here, and I will explain how we address, like trying to address the declining of the programs. So we have kind of 50-50 research and teaching stream. A lot of people who just teach and do research. We have technicians, we have chem stores, and they have the people who support that state-of-the-art laboratory. This is our typical lab. Looks like very pretty, in my opinion. And they have 3 major programs of study: chemistry, biochemistry, environmental chemistry, and they have 4 specialists, not 3, sorry. And they teach more than 3,000 students per year. But most of them are in general chemistry courses, the service courses. So that's the trend, very typical for the disciplines. See, the specialist is kind of declining. And that because it used to be, if you want to go to the graduate program, you have to have the specialist degree. They usually would give a preference for those students. But that's not a trend anymore.
That's an absolute number there, or it's a percentage of total students?
The percentage, yeah.
Total students?
Yeah, not the absolute number, no. And you can see that the decline goes for all disciplines except physics. So the biggest enrollment is in physics specialists. AI is the answer, and so you can see this is a very recent trend. It's basically after COVID started to move towards specialists, but for most disciplines it's a decline. While the obviously somewhere is declining, somewhere is moving up, and that's typical for the majors. Looks up what's going on here. It moves up and quite significantly. It's now the chemistry. So biochemistry is our biggest program right now. It's more than 400 students are picking biochemistry.
You have 3 more minutes.
Okay, but it's not that many slides I have, so like I'm okay with this one. It was harder to do my first one. So we have no problem, but obviously with the majors we have problem with the specialists. So what we try to do for the chemistry, we just change the name. It used to be one of our most popular program was biological chemistry, but became like from 50 students to almost close to nothing. So we added one word, biological and medicinal chemistry. And it started to move. It's quite few, like as soon as you add medicine, and we can easily do it because we are building right now one building, Medicinal Academy, and we are selling it like, it just added an explanation how we teach medicinal chemistry, and it became very, very popular. So don't underestimate the name of the program. So it's actually a big deal how students see whatever, and don't think the students will see the evolve the way they see, because we have more experience, more knowledge. Students are just reading stuff and that's it. So what do we do for teaching? This is our newest lecture hall. Very weird one, on my opinion. So this is where professor is standing. And it's basically they are all around you. And I never taught in this room, thanks God, and I'm not going to. But otherwise you need to move like this just to show all of your students. Because if you're sitting behind your back, it's 4 screens, huge screens, like all around the room, and it's 500 students capacity.
I have a solution to this problem. You go up to the top, so every student turns around, and you have them in front of you.
No, like our profs are not really happy. I've been presenting for this room, for the conference, but of course it's a conference, so people sitting in front of me, so that was fine. But like, no, not my thing to do. So, I'm sorry. So traditional lectures, we have partially flipped classrooms when doing problems, when teaching online. Everything is recorded in our lectures, every single lecture. It's state-of-the-art recording, so I'm moving through the room, the thing is following me. And like it's recording me saying and recording the lecture slide. So you can see a small picture of me and everything what's going on. So we have facilitated study groups arranged by the university, not even my thing to deal with it. We have discussion sessions, we have tutorials, we have VR tutorials, virtual reality, not for all courses, but it will be more and more. Okay.
1 minute,
pretty much
I would
done.
say that we have only 1 minute.
Okay.
Now nothing.
Okay, so that's basically it. I can say more. What is new, very, very new, and but it's becoming more and more, is AI. In every single course.
If they are interested, they're going to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Our next speaker. Have a Greek name,
Yes.
Your Greek name?
Yes.
You can, okay, you can deliver your speech in Greek. Katerina Lanaris. Όχι Λανάρη. Okay. Εκεί τελείωσα και εγώ, εκεί έκανα το φωτογραφικό. Μόνο δίκαιο. Okay. Catherine is professor at the University of Quebec in Outaouais, correct?
Outaouais.
Outaouais,
I
okay.
want to talk about that. It's going to be the opposite of what you just heard.
So what is the river then? Gatineau?
Gatineau River,
Yeah,
yeah.
Gatineau, that's it.
Oh, you're good.
No, I live there. I should be better.
So I have too many things prepared. I'm going to fast forward for some of them. So thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. Usually everything I do is in French or in Greek. So if some French words creep up, just be patient with me and I'll switch back to English. So as
Catherine, in many cases, if you say French or Greek, they will say all Greek to me.
Yeah, for sure. So I come from a small university in the Gatineau area, which is a part of a regroupment of universities called Université du Québec. So there are like 7 constituents all over Quebec. And I don't know if you know Athens. No. So Quebec, it's like the small village that resists in Canada. So we speak French, and it's going to be in line with the challenges and perspectives of inclusion, because it's very important to preserve the French language. And we have also many people come from immigration, so there is an issue, and teacher training relates to all that. So I'm going to go through some things, and maybe faster for some of them. I'll talk a little bit about inclusive education, a little bit about the research we did regarding postures of inclusion, and then I'm going to talk of obstacles and challenges for inclusive practices, and finish with some thoughts about promoting inclusive practices in teacher training and in research if I have time. So Quebec, like many societies, aspires to be a place of social and cultural inclusion, but the way to do it is through schooling. You know, so it's like you go to school to be a part of the vivre ensemble, so the society that we live all together happy and very well. And in 2012, a law was passed to make kindergarten for 4 years old children mandatory. Because before that, full-time kindergarten was for 5 years old and more. And the younger children were going to daycare or part-time kindergarten. That was very important, and I will talk about that a little bit more, because it meant also that teachers would be prepared to intervene in an inclusive posture. Okay? So I'll present a little bit some results. I'm going to go quickly here because the policies in Quebec have shifted, you know. So in the 70s, it was much about assimilation. So people should know the language and should forget where they were coming from. And then in the 80s, 90s, it was more about integration. And now since 2000, there is, in almost all official documents, we talk about inclusion, but we also have integration. So it's like a confused message given in Quebec policies. And of course, as many of us know, the evolution of policies does not, of course, mean that practices have evolved also. So there is always a gap between intentions and actual practices. And education and teacher education seems to be the central part of promoting inclusion and the guidelines that come with the policies. So what do we mean when we talk about inclusion in our kind of in our work and research? Actually, inclusion has both meanings. The action of including someone, of being part of a whole and create an environment that can recognize the singularity of the individual, but it's also the result. So we work in the two meanings of the word inclusion, and I'll show you a little bit in a later slide why I say that inclusion is always in a continuum. It's not like something that we do or we do not. We have many, many shades, well, 4 stages between exclusion and inclusion. So in 2012, Athens and myself we were commissioned by the Ministry of Education of Quebec to do a pilot study about inclusion, the postures of inclusion of school teachers and school principals during the mandatory implementation of the 4 years old kindergarten. So we found out actually that even though we have policies, even though we train teachers to be inclusive, when we actually talk to them, we find the 4 postures from exclusion to inclusion, and actually we find postures from expiring policies. So it doesn't mean that we train them to be inclusive, that they actually can translate what they have learned in their classes about inclusion. So that was what led me to think about obstacles and challenges for inclusive practices. If I can talk a little bit about that. So, as it shows here, so I think the number one obstacle is placing the responsibility of inclusion to the person who wants to be included. So we see that with the children with learning difficulties, they are the problem, and no one is questioning their posture because we have to resolve a problem. So this is not, for me, a posture that is inclusive, and it's very much the posture we choose when we teach at our students in teacher training. So having that posture that the child is the problem progressively makes the child or someone else feel smaller. So that's, for me, it says a lot about inclusion. And according to the Superior Council of Education of Quebec, the education system does not succeed to be truly inclusive, even though we have resources, we talk about it, and we have difficulty translating government guidelines into effective practices, even though we have a referential of competencies for teacher training, which specifically tells us to train them to be inclusive and to work with children's needs. So I'm going to go quickly here what prevents the implementation of inclusive practices. Foremost, I think it's the need we have to be the same. And when we talk to our students, it's very difficult to imagine working with someone who is different. And I think all the political talk we had this morning attest to that, in Quebec we say a lot that we want to have our common and shared values, which basically means that we have all to be the same. And I mean, it's a natural phenomenon, and we have to respect that because it gives a lot of security to know that you can be with people who have the same references and the same parameters. But the problem is that it translates with a persistent use of exclusionary narratives, discourses, and not only in the institutional level, but also in everyday practice. So here I'm going to show you just an excerpt from an interview we did with an elementary school principal, so who was talking to us how they prepare parents to bring their kids to school. And as you can see, they take parents, they talk to them for about an hour and a half. They have to explain everything to parents and what they shouldn't bring. So they treat the parents, first of all, like kids. And they suppose that every parent has not been in a school, doesn't know what school is. So for us, it was a posture of assimilation because it showed that they don't know very much about the parents for the schools. So here I'm going to go a little bit faster because the time is running by. Many researchers have made a link between the difficulty to have inclusive practices and university programs. And when tomorrow I'm going to present the results of a research in students, teachers, students, we see that even themselves they don't feel ready to apply basically what we are teaching them. And inclusive education is everywhere, in every program, in every course, in every competencies. But when we talk to student teachers, they cannot find out how they're going to do it in practice. So basically, the major obstacle, I think, to inclusion is the obligation to fit in, especially when the frame is really rigid. And as you can see, there are many ways to fit in or not. And I'm going to try to provoke some thoughts about inclusive practices in teacher training and research if I have the time.
You have 5 minutes. It's
I
your
know.
time. So.
Okay, thank you. So I think in order to implement more inclusive practices, we should be aware that there is a huge difference between integration and between inclusion. So integration is really placing the responsibility on the child or the person who wants to be included, and the environment doesn't change that much. An inclusion-based approach is really grounded in a dual process. So the environment and the individuals have to work together and find each one their place. So teacher training should allow a differentiation between integration and inclusion. And actually, right now, that's not the case in Quebec university programs, because we still have a compensatory logic. So when we give courses to people who are going to work in adaptation, educational adaptation, as we call it, it's always with this logic. There is the children who have difficulties, behavior or learning, are missing something. And it's the teacher's role to compensate for that lack of something. So we use a lot in Quebec, I don't know in other countries how it works, but in Quebec we use a lot the word differentiation, which is really a pretty exclusive word, a word that brings exclusion. And I think we are in need of a paradigm shift to talk more about diversity and less about differentiating, even in our programs and our courses guidelines. And of course, to implement the idea in our students that inclusion is a shared responsibility, because many of them tend to work exclusively on the children and not on themselves. So I'm gonna, with the minute and a half that I have,
yes, that's right.
I'm gonna just finish with some thoughts about research, because I find that the same paradigm is also in our research, and I think our research methods promote a dominant point of view, and we're leaving out many voices, and of course it's important to take account of those voices. Let's say the words we use when we are trying to work with children, for example. We say that we're going to give them a voice, or allowing the population to have a voice, or to speak, granting them a place. All these words are the words of the people who have the power. So I think that we should think a little bit outside of the box if we want to have inclusive methodology, and resisting the urges to have all the answers from our point of view and just confirm the things that we believe. And of course, an inclusive methodology is going to respect diversity, and it's going to go toward the others, the people who want to work with. It's working with also in research. So I finished my presentation with a phrase that I like very much. It's from a Lebanese author. So it says, as you can read, that for it is our gaze that often confines others to their narrowest identities. It is also our gaze that can liberate them. So, thank you very much.
We're glad because you were on time.
At least I think that.
Thank you very much for the next one. Our next speaker, let me see if I can pronounce correctly your name. Tom Wanyama.
No, you did.
Correct? Very strange.
You managed to read my last name, so you would.
There is this name. I made a mistake in the Greek name.
Because you weren't prepared for the Greek.
No, because it can be Lanaris or Lanaris, so I'm not apologizing because it can be both. Anyway, okay, 15 minutes, sir.
Well, thank you. My name is Tom, and I'm here to talk about reimagining our education, especially engineering education, And I want to talk mainly about the role of learning factories in that reimagination. I work at McMaster University in the School of Engineering Practice and Technology. So why would we want to reimagine our learning or engineering education? Well, it's just because of the changes in the industry. So many changes are happening. These days we walk around with computers in our pockets. When we went to school, things were largely different, but the engineering education itself has not changed very much. So it has stayed lagging behind. And there are so many ways we can improve this, but myself, I'm focusing on using what we call the learning factory to bridge the gap. So some of the challenges, but maybe before I go into challenges, I should go back and define what a learning factory is. When we talk about a learning factory, we talk about a facility that simulates the manufacturing process. And the school in which I teach, most of our students are geared towards graduating and going to work in the manufacturing industry. And therefore, this facility would look like a factory. And it will have like worker stations, it will have the supply chain, it will have the design power component and so on. But most important, you have to integrate the teaching and learning modules within its processes. So we envision these facilities to be very effective when you are teaching complex technological concepts, or when you're teaching areas that are kind of multidisciplinary, such as resource efficiency, such as lean manufacturing, quality control, and Industry 4.0 technologies, which is usually integrated, computer-integrated manufacturing, design, and so on. So at McMaster, we have got a learning factory, to which I'm a director, and at that factory, we manufacture 3 products. When we started by producing a walking cane. I wanted to make a product that is quite simple. So if you looked at a cane, I couldn't come with one. Last time I traveled with one to Spain, they wanted me to leave it at the airport. They said it was too heavy, that I could hit somebody. So this time I left it at home. But a walking cane is simple. You can see all the components of the walking cane. We make it out of wood. I've got 3 pieces that we can couple together. And such that when you're traveling, you can take it apart and put it in the bag. The handle, we purchase it online, as well as the tip. The wooden pieces, the students design and send it to a local manufacturer or wood shop, and then they bring those back to the students. The middle pieces, the metal connectors, we make them ourselves. So that product, that is quite simple, has got all the traits of a manufacturing product. Some things we buy from the open market, some things we custom order, and some things we make ourselves, but it must fit the design. You come and put it all together. The other product we make is an RC car. The reason we brought in the RC car was students were not very interested in the walking cane. Professors would get so excited about the cane, but not the kids. It's just a stick. So we brought in the RC car to excite the students. Somebody wanted to do a drone, but the drone is first complicated. Second, we have got a hospital nearby, we can't fly. Then the third product that we make is a 3D printed water filter. We make all these products to a level where we can sell them. Where we can, yes, we have to be able to sell them, because that is important for some reason. So we have the production flow. This is part of the production flow. We have the CNC machines, we have the workers' demonstrations, 3D printers, both metal and the plastic printing. We've got a manufacturing execution system, software application there. We've got a front end. This is on the shop 5, where you can actually go purchase. If you go into to the learning factory, SeftLearningFactory.com, you would go to our front end and you can order for yourself a walking cane, or you can order for yourself an RC car. And the system is set up such that when you receive an order, the order is picked up by the manufacturing execution system, which takes out the specifications and parameterizes the PLCs. So when you go to produce on the workstation, the controller knows what pieces you should be putting together. That way you cannot make mistakes. And then once you have filled the order, the information is sent back to the manufacturing execution system, which sends it back to the front end, such that you get a notification that your walking cane has been made. So, the first challenge we faced was trying to make a product that we can sell. We were told that as a teaching department, you're not supposed to be selling nothing. Therefore, we had to become creative. We started to link up with the students, and because students are allowed to sell stuff. You have seen them selling cookies to raise money for their clubs. So that's what we did. We said, you know what? So let all these products that we make be owned by students' clubs. Then for us, we are a contract manufacturer.
You cannot have a startup company as a university.
That's a different story.
Okay, no, don't start.
That's a different story. But we work with students, and then the students' clubs own the products, and then for us, we manufacture for them. The money that comes out, some of it comes back to buy the materials, and some of it is used by the students to promote their activities. After all, the department also has got a responsibility to promote some of their activities. So that's how we were able to actually start producing these products. And you can see here, this is the box for the walking cane. So when we are able to ship them out, the packaging properly, just like any other cane you could buy. But it's a high-end cane. It's not the likes of canes you buy from Walmart. This is like the cane you could buy for $200 from India. So it's that level of manufacturing. But we also make the other system, which we also use for various activities. So what's the benefit of all this? Why do we have a factory in a school? The reason is that before we built this, we used to take students out. We used to work mainly with the Toyota. Tom, you remember when you were in my class, he's my son, but I also taught him. And at some point, we used to take you guys to Toyota to see how the things we teach come together. But now we have a factory in the basement, so we don't have to go to Toyota. And because it's our factory, we can stop production, we can open under the hood, we can source them more stuff than we could when we took them out to a manufacturing plant. So we do that, especially for one course.
We are aware of Trump is going to put tariffs on that fact.
Oh, that's a different story. Because we already have two stories. That's a different story. We're already having challenges with tariffs. But that's for one course, which is industrial networks. We also have a course in the manufacturing technologies. This uses our learning factory as its main lab. So students, first of students do product routing in the manufacturing execution system. They design the walking canes. They order for various pieces that they want to be to use to make their cane. And then they come and assemble the cane. But before they do that, as part of this course called Industrial Systems Integration, they have to learn how to integrate the controllers with the manufacturing execution system, and also how to integrate the manufacturing execution system with the front end of the shop file, which is not shown here. So, 3 different courses using the same facility in different ways. These 2 run in the same semester. So we have to collaborate, the instructors have to collaborate, such that they do product routing, but before they come to produce their product for this course, they must have done the integration part where they connect the controllers so that the data can flow. This is a more technical course. And then they come back and produce the product. So now they understand why you have to do some things or what has to be done in order for somebody to work the way we do on a production line. But we use the products also for other things. We use the RC car is just teaching principles of physics and design. So one of our design courses, we ask students to design a car from first principles and design the gear train and design the power and so on for the vehicle for a given specification. We use also the RC car as a platform for sensor networks. So this again different course. We put sensors on the car and then drive it. Sometimes we crash it. And then we collect data in real time. There's also another project that students have been working on self-driving cars, again using our RC car. We use also the car for machine condition monitoring. We put sensors on the vehicle, but this time we run it on a dyno, and then we collect the data and we can compare the vibrations. Only two?
No, 3.
Oh, okay. And then we also use the walking cane also as a platform for teaching and learning. The other thing that we use the learning factory is for teaching business courses. So we, for example, in the marketing course, the instructor would ask students that imagine a product and then come up with a marketing plan. These days, the instructor tells them to pick one of our products and come up with a marketing plan. Okay, the other thing we use the learning factory is for community outreach and collaborations. One of the projects I want to talk about a little bit more is this one in Africa. I'm going there on Saturday. We are working with the Uganda Christian University and Save the Mothers East Africa to improve water quality and healthcare centers. We designed this water filtration system for them. We deployed it, it works fine, we collect the data on it. But now we have designed a water filter, 3D printed. So we are going to transfer these skills and technology to UCU, such that they can make those from their own facility. We are donating them 3D printers and create a mini learning factory for them, so that they can use it to teach for teaching and learning, and also donate the water filters to healthcare centers. This is another project we've just started on, where we have miniaturized a Ford F-150, and we are working with a company in Hamilton that makes these bumpers for materials development. So instead of making big bumpers and then crash test them, we can make small ones and then do the crash testing. And if they make sense, then they can use the technology in the big bumpers. So since I have only 1 more minute, I'll go straight to the impact of our learning factory. One of the things that we have noticed from it is improve the skills development for our students. Our students are very ready to go when they finish our school. And they have the innovative mindset. They have been exposed to all technologies that we find in the industry. And of course, we work with the industry in collaboration, just as the example I've given about the Ford F-150. And just for way forward, I think that this is just one of the ways you can adapt experiential learning. I believe there are so many other ways, and also create those strong industry community partnerships. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next and last speaker who spoke for 15 minutes, Ron Phillips. He will.
I'm not doing that. Good.
It's a reverse psychology.
I don't know how you can teach in that realm.
I don't know.
No, I mean,
I am very happy not to do so, but like my colleagues do. And they said it's a very,
I
very
don't
feeling.
got the top.
Yeah, just like helicopter.
okay. Thank you. Now, I got the invitation to give this little talk. I think it was the same time as Trump was making one of his great pronouncements. And I said to myself, let's focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's focus on. I don't want to talk about my university, because of education at the Crossroads. And in Canada, we've taken the position that it's okay to discriminate. I stand before you as a white male. You could be argued that I'm probably one of the most discriminated groups in Canada, and that's okay with me. because we can do it. Legally, I can be discriminated against. Simple as that. Yes. I can't be complaining because there's a law that says you can discriminate. The stuff going on in the US would never happen in Canada, where people are tearing down the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at universities, jobs, and everything else, schools. We can discriminate, but it's in a good way, with good purpose. In the US, it's backtracking and all that, okay? Anything that appears to promote DEI is taken out.
Yep.
In Canada, according to the census about 9 years ago, population was 35, now we're closer to 40. 22% of our population is visible minorities. 7%, 7 million are immigrants, or 21% of the population. 5% are indigenous, and that includes First Nations, Inuit or Eskimos, as you may know them, and also the Métis. And French and English are the official languages with the federal government of Canada. I just want to see, yeah, when I got thinking about this, how can I show people the good things about discrimination? And I got thinking, my wife.
Discriminated when she married you.
Oh, hey, that's not good. Who's been talking? Yeah, my wife, Mary Jane McCallum. She was born in Nepal, Manitoba. She's Cree. She's First Nation, and her band or tribe is Barren Lands First Nation. Now think of it. A place called Barren Lands. You go, there can't be much up there, okay? Now, she was 4 years old. She lived in the bush with her dad and mom. Her dad was a trapper, fisherman, guide. And what happened is that when she was 4 years old, her mother died. So the government officials came in, they kidnapped her. That's the word she uses now. She was kidnapped by the government officials, put on a plane. She'd never been on a plane before, taken down to a school run by nuns, a residential school, taught by nuns who didn't speak the first language, and the horrible things happened there. Okay. In a place like Brochet, where she was born, it still is a fly-in community. There's no roads going in. It's a fly-in community. After graduating from high school, she went for a high school outside of Winnipeg, a town called Portage-la-Prairie, and she got grade 12, and then she was interested in dentistry. She was interested and she was told, well, you're an Indian. You can't become a dentist. So she became a dental nurse and dental therapist, working with First Nation kids on the reserves. That's where I met her, okay? And then the University of Manitoba has a program called the Access Program. And that was for northern people, northern Manitoba people who were mainly indigenous. Some whites would be able to get into it too, but mainly northern people, that was what it was aimed for. And people from difficult circumstances. And what they did simply, they made a 2-year pre-med program into a 3-year program. So these students got extra training, extra education that they needed because they didn't get it in their schools. And a number of them graduated. Some became medical doctors. A number of them became dentists. My wife was the first First Nations woman in Canada to become a dentist. We figure it's for all of North America, but that's never been proven. 1990, she graduated as a dentist from the University of Manitoba. And that's when I married her, because I always said I wanted to marry a dentist. Okay. Now, in 2018, she was appointed to the Senate of Canada. She was a senator. All this was really possible because of the Access program. They discriminated. I could never apply for that program. I wasn't from northern Manitoba. I wasn't Indigenous. I had my regular grade 12. That program was for kids, I shouldn't call them kids, students who needed a little bit of extra help.
That was in addition to the other people, so it was not discrimination. The access program was an additional program.
Yeah.
That's not the.
It's not discrimination.
So-
That's not discrimination.
But it's okay to discriminate.
Yeah, no, okay.
Simple
That's
as
not
that.
discrimination.
No, we have laws in Canada. As I just said before, you can't discriminate. Here I am going, hey, we've got laws that says you can't discriminate on basis of race, color, sex, language, religion, political opinion, national origin, or economic conditions. So we got laws about that. Then we look at the Canadian Human Rights Act. Every individual is equal before and under the law, has a right to equal protection and so on, without discrimination against all those things. And this is where it's important. It does not preclude any law, program, or activity that has its object, the element, amelioration of conditions of disadvantaged individuals. So you can discriminate. If a group is a marginalized group, they need support. Simple as that. Because of race, national origin, and all that stuff. And this is where the Charter writes, section 15, 2, subsection 1, does not preclude any law, program, or activity that has as its object the amelioration of conditions of disadvantaged individuals and so on, for all those conditions again. It's okay if it's to help these people out, these groups out. Our court has also said, this is what I'm looking for. At the same time, okay, now I'm trying to find something. No, there's one thing there about, it's not section 15, it's okay to discriminate against, yeah. Going the wrong way now, going the wrong way. Oh, I know what, I'm pressing the wrong button here. And our courts have also ruled that section 15, where it says it's okay to discriminate, it also protects equality on the basis of other characteristics that are not included in the original bill or act. For example, this section has been held to prohibit discrimination on the grounds of sexual orientation, marital status, or citizenship. So a gay person cannot be discriminated against. A bisexual person cannot be discriminated against. If they are, they can be taken to court. And the Supreme Court has stated that the purpose of this section is to protect those groups who suffer social, political, and legal disadvantage in society. Discrimination occurs with a person because of personal characteristics, suffers disadvantages, or is denied opportunities available to other members of society. So we can discriminate. We got to help some groups out. Yeah. All the rest says that basic human rights, that Citizen Act, all say the same thing.
I think you made your message clear.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take over again. Based upon the last presentation, this is not a normal session, so I can talk a little bit. I cannot help it. When I went to Ottawa in 1980, it was very cold in the winter as normally.
Well, it's Ottawa.
It's Ottawa. And it was about December, January, and I'm smart. You can tell that I'm smart and very modest. And so I was going down with a friend of mine. So someone came. I'll see what is camera, but I use that example. You remind me that there was a wine or something, and said, can you spare a dime for And I say, I said something smart, I don't know, I don't remember. And then he said, were you so smart when you came here? I said, very simple. I didn't come here, I was born here. Yeah, but your parents, no, my parents did not come here. They were born here. He said, really? And my grandfathers were born. Oh, you bastards came here and destroyed my people. And, you know, I was pretending that it was first name. You know what he did? Me, that's Canada. He looked in my eyes and he says, I want to apologize for my people that destroyed your people. Amazing. And then my friend said, I don't know what to say, what to say. But it's amazing. I was so, you know, impressed by the reaction. Usually, you know, they get aggressive. He was the immigrant, I was the immigrant. He became right away an immigrant. So I turned what they call the devil. Anyway, and I have another thing that I say. Treating everybody equal doesn't make you a nice guy. For example, I hate all humans equally. I'm misanthropic. So it doesn't make, so you have to go deeper to find out whether you have ethics and merit and so on. Okay, show of time. Who wants to make a comment? And that's Canada. You notice something. There were 4 people, 4 different backgrounds, even and genetic, if I want to use that term. We have sometimes some presentation like this. But that's what is amazing about Canada. I forgot to say 2 children, my children were born in Outaouais in 1980 and 1981. I went to Canada because I want to study the social welfare system. And my thesis was about Canada because Greeks go there and they do the case of Greece, the case of Greece, the case. It's amazing how bad this is. You go to Canada to do something about Greece. But I went to Canada, to do something about Canadian policy. Okay, any comment? You spoke. Oh no!
I'm on a roll here.
No.
I'm on a roll here.
I'm gonna send you to your wife.
I got a question.
No, we have to give preference to the people that they didn't talk. Yeah.
I have a question about the
You know,
learning
you
factories.
micro please, that's what you say, boy. Micro please.
Thank you. The learning factories, what role do you use with your students with AI, and how do you think that's changing the manufacturing process?
Can I use this microphone?
You know the job.
Well, that's quite an interesting question. So, part of the work we do with the AI is fairly on the technical side, I could say, because we are doing machine vision, using machine vision in self-driving cars. And again, you could put that on a real vehicle and do the testing and so on. But with analysis cars much cheaper. It's a little bit tricky because the models that we are using have to run on a computer. So you have to do real-time communication between the computer and the other system. It's difficult to have a small computer that you can carry on the vehicle and then with enough processing power with the artificial intelligence. But we look at that challenge as an opportunity to learn. Even that with the car itself. Our car is quite a fairly smart vehicle. Just like our president.
Make it short.
Oh, I have so many stories about the learning
We're
factory.
going to go outside, I can hear you for 2 hours.
But we can catch up later. But we are using AI in different ways, I could say, in the learning factory.
Okay. You are perfect, I knew that. Any other question, comment? I don't mind, if you don't have it, we can go outside, have coffee, and we continue the discussion outside. Don't feel that you have to make comment. There's no obligation. Thank you. No, you again. Okay.
I'd like to
Because we like
ask
from other people to contribute. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, Tom, I was extremely blown away and impressed with the
Can you
fact that,
identify yourself?
excuse me.
Can you say where are you from? That's all we know.
You want to know, I am
I
from
want
the
to know your
United
personal details.
I am from
you
the
know.
United States. I'm Dr. Virgil Ann Thorne, and I currently live in South Carolina.
Yeah, so people know who is talking.
Okay, I am extremely impressed with the fact that I'm accustomed to a tech school doing things similar to what you're saying, but you're going to accredited institution and taking the technical component into that environment, and those people are leaving with degrees and technical knowledge. I just have to compliment you on what you all are doing there. You are welcome.
I think you have made everybody.
Yes, that's right. Give them a hand. Absolutely.
I bribe them. You bribe them so they cannot. That's the trick. I can see the tendency. Any other question? He's going to talk. That's why I asked you. So you know. Okay.
I'm going to be short.
Yeah.
For the lady from Quebec, I have a hard time understanding how to differentiate education. In Quebec, it appears to me that it's considered to be exclusion. Was that right? Did I pick that up correctly?
Could you repeat? I'm not sure I understood.
To differentiate.
It's basically excluding, yes.
In Ontario, the rest of Canada, we go, no, it's part of inclusion, because you can differentiate how you teach,
Yeah.
how you, the product, and the assessment. So to us, that's just part of inclusion.
It's to Quebec mainstream also, but when you differentiate, you discriminate.
We have two microphones.
So that's why I was talking about not talking about differences but diversity, because everyone is different. So in an inclusive perspective, you don't have to bother to differentiate because you accept that everyone is different, having different needs, and you adapt your practices to what you perceive being a need from the person who wants to learn. So there is a nuance, I don't know, nuance. So that's why I talked fast, but words make a huge difference, and that's the problem with, we are trying to integrate people, so when we differentiate, we integrate. So you have to find out what the problem is, provide a solution, so the child or the learner can adapt to an environment. To include someone is to change the environment also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why there is and in university programs we still talk about differentiation. I mean, it's the mainstream word, but nowadays I think that research and practices have evolved a little bit, so we can talk more about diversity versus differences.
Okay.
That's what I can say about that.
Okay. I can see there's no need for more questions or comments, but just I leave you with my own experience. 1906, I come from a western central Greece, very poor in the summer and in the winter, my village. 100% homogeneous the society, going back 5,000 years because it's very mountainous. Nobody was interested in that area, so we were very homogeneous people. And we love to hate each other. So we could not find any excuse to hate. So my mother said, if you grow up and you marry, don't marry from your next one. And then when I was saying this story, a lot of African people that they were poor, they would say the same thing. I mean, don't marry from this area, don't marry from that area. And we were all wise, And we didn't hate the black people, we didn't hate anybody else because we didn't know them. We didn't know that they exist, so we prefer to hate the neighbor, and then the hate the So it might say something why it's very difficult to get hate out of our system. I mean, it's very difficult. We love to hate each other. Thank you very much.